Hello and welcome to the Ora News broadcast on this Saturday afternoon. I'm Daniel Cook, your host for the English edition, in which we are pleased to serve the international community by offering the Albanian news in English, Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. In today's news, in honor of the diplomatic representatives of our country, Prime Minister Edi Rama has spoken to them at the Conference of Ambassadors. The Prime Minister, Edi Rama, received the ambassadors of Albania from around the world in the framework of the Conference of Ambassadors, which is being held in Tirana from the 4th to the 7th of July. In his speech, Prime Minister Rama emphasized that the improvement of the country's image brought about the candidate status. Prime Minister Rama stated that they are working to change the image of the country. Rama pointed out that in the new world of communication, everyone can be an ambassador of their country, noting that the role of the ambassadors is to coordinate to improve the country's image. Rama said that the opposition leader today is equivalent to the Prime Minister. He said, "Today I feel good that I do not feel sorry for you. Many of you were here when I was not here, when I was the leader of the opposition. In many cases, I felt bad for you, when there was no protocol for the opposition leader. In many cases, the opposition was the main target of the diplomacy of our country in key EU countries and the USA. The place of the country's opposition leader in the diplomatic protocol is equivalent to the Prime Minister's place today," said Rama. The Prime Minister also emphasized the improving of regional relations, calling it a strategic project. "Regional relations should be seen as a challenge and strategic priority," said Prime Minister Rama to the ambassadors. The head of the government said that our country should be active in relations with neighbors, and added that diplomacy is an important economic and cultural agent. The Prime Minister also said that we should transform the role of the diplomats to restore the values that have been trampled over the years. A transformative diplomacy is necessary to transform the links among the Albanians, wherever they live, by strengthening the gravitational pull of Albania, he said. The role of the diplomat has to do with values, patriotism, and respect for diversity. Values, as we are all witnesses, that have been violated and disrespected for many years. Values that must be returned to the intangible values of our diplomacy, said Rama. A former president of Albania has also spoken at the Conference of Ambassadors today. The diplomacy and the Albanian politicians should learn from the mistakes of the past. This statement was made by the former president of Albania, Alfred Moisiu, on the second day of the conference, Diplomacy in Action. During his speech, Moisiu stressed that Albania plays an important role in strengthening peace in the region. He stressed that obtaining the candidate status makes the Albanian state, for the first time after 1913, feel like part of the Western European community. He said, "What matters is that we are prepared for the new challenges. We must learn from the mistakes of the past. Neighborly relations, cooperation agreements, and promotion of the Albanian factor for problem solving in the context of major projects in the region are definitive evidence that always Albania has had and will have a role in promoting peace, stability, and democracy in the region," said the former president, Moisiu. The Macedonian police have managed to calm the dangerous protest that happened yesterday, in which multiple people were injured. The police have restored calm after ethnic Albanian protesters clashed with the riot squads at a rally against the jailing of alleged extremist Muslims for the terrorist murders of ethnic Macedonians. The police said that they were investigating on Saturday after 20 officers and several protesters sustained injuries in the previous day's protests, which spokesperson Iwo Kotevski described as being extremely violent. The police are examining the footage from the unrest. Criminal charges will be filed against all those who are identified. We still don't know who the organizer of the protest is, because the event was not reported to the authorities, Kotevski said in a press conference late on Friday. Running battles broke out in the city streets on Friday after ethnic Albanian protesters rallied to show their anger over the life sentences that were handed down to 6 alleged Muslim radicals for the killing of 5 ethnic Macedonians at Orthodox Easter in 2012, in a case that raised ethnic tensions in the country. Although Skopje was calm again on Saturday morning, Skotevski said that police remained on standby at various critical points in the capital. He said that officers would follow the social networks through which the mobilization of the violent protest happened. Friday's protest, which started after the midday prayers in the mosques in the Albanian-dominated Skopje municipality of Kjer, quickly turned violent as the crowd, mainly made up of young men, charged towards the Skopje criminal court, throwing stones and bricks at police and the buildings. The police responded with water cannons, stun grenades, and tear gas, preventing the crowd from advancing toward the government building and forcing the protesters back to Kjer. The several hours-long clash resulted in damage to various buildings and cars, as well as a series of injuries to police officers and protesters. According to the unofficial information, several members of the press were also injured on Friday, and the police appealed for them to report to their injuries. The protesters took to the streets after the jailing of several ethnic Albanians on charges of terrorism last Monday. They were convicted of killing 5 ethnic Macedonians in April of 2012. The initial announcement in 2012 that the murderers might be ethnic Albanians also sparked protests by groups of ethnic Macedonians, some of which turned violent. The defense has said it will appeal against the convictions, while the prosecution said it will appeal against the release of the 7th defendant, Seydi Rama, who was acquitted on the basis of lack of evidence. The country's top politician has yet to comment on the terrorism verdict or the violence. While the court reached the verdict on Monday, Prime Minister Nicole Gruevski was on an official visit to Japan. During the violence on Friday, he was in China. The latest unrest comes after 2 days of violent, ethnically charged protests that gripped the capital last year, sparked by the controversial appointment of an Albanian ex-guerrilla, Talat Jaferi, as the defense minister. The opposition leader, Luluzim Basha, took part in the assembly elections of the Democratic Party in the town of Bulqize. The chairman of the Democratic Party, Luluzim Basha, has requested that the membership of the Democratic Party use their votes responsibly because they will take the most important decisions in the Democratic Party through their vote. At the Electoral Assembly of the Democrats in Bulqize, Basha asked for serious reflection in the selection of new directors, assessing their value and merit. Although we are mandated here, we are all equal to each other. Every Democrat within and outside of this room, and every one of us, has one vote. Making the decisions on the basis of the free vote is a tremendous responsibility, a responsibility that requires deep reflection from all of you practitioners of this right, said Basha. The new leaders of the Democratic Party should begin drafting the democratic alternative, Basha said, while speaking about the economic, social, and security situation that the country is facing. Unemployment has reached alarming figures, Basha said, and the irresponsibility of the government has reached its peak. He continued, the lack of perspective and vision has plunged Albania into its worst days. Jobs are being closed, people are jumping to the streets, there is a deterioration in every statistic of order, murder, attempted murder, and violent robbery. Transparency and accountability of the government to the citizens is at the lowest level since overcoming the monastic dictatorship. Today it is time for the Democrats of Bulqize and of all Albania, under the direction of new teams, to build our new alternative, based on the principles of freedom, on free and clean competitiveness, and on development, said Basha. The Democratic Party spokeswoman has spoken out once again against the appointments of Prime Minister Edi Rama. The Democratic Party is accusing the Prime Minister of appointing a person previously denounced for land invasion as the head of the task force for properties in Vlora. In a media statement, the spokeswoman of the Democratic Party, Laura Vorpsi, said that Edi Rama has entrusted the verification of legality and the manner of disposition of real estate property to a person previously denounced for land invasion. What happens to an official who is publicly denounced for the occupation of a national property, for taking land that is not his, with the strength that his power gives to him? With Edi Rama, this official is promoted and makes a career. This is what happened with Alket Husini, who was denounced by the prosecution of Kavaya for taking a plot of land in a tourist village. Vorpsi continued, when the Democratic Party publicly denounced the case on the basis of a complaint made by the citizen who owned the land, the government intentionally reacted by saying that Alket Husini was not its employee. But now it comes to light by order of the Prime Minister Rama, which not only confirms that this person is an employee of the government, but that he is holding a very important task. This is the merit of Edi Rama. This is the way to make a career with the Renaissance. Usurp the property of other people in order to become the head of verification for the properties on the coast, said Vorpsi. Weeks after the beginning of the operations in Lazarat, the police are still finding large quantities of drugs there. 1 ton and 820 kilograms of marijuana were discovered in the basement of an old house in the village of Lazarat in the neighborhood of Joka during the day. The police found that 1 ton and 200 kilograms of the marijuana was pressed, while another 620 kilograms was not. Thus, the pressed drugs were seized as evidence, while the rest were burned. The police are currently investigating to identify and apprehend the owners of the drugs. The police action in Lazarat is continuing, with the aim of finding and destroying the narcotics, seizing weapons and other illegal objects, and bringing to justice those people who are involved in illegal activities. The large quantities of drugs, firearms, explosives, ammunition, and other illegal objects makes the continuation of the police operation in Lazarat necessary. A vehicle that was carrying 150 kilos of narcotics was apprehended by the police at the port of Vlora. The vehicle's destination was Italy. The police said that the drugs were found in a vehicle owned by Walter Hazizaj. After finding the drugs, the police arrested the driver. The drugs were apprehended by the border police. The police of Kruja has detected and disposed of 263 roots of marijuana in neighborhood number 2 of the city. According to the data, 4 plots containing 263 cannabis plants were eliminated at a place called Droje, near the apartment of the citizen Besnik Droja. The police stations of Shkodra and Malesi have conducted some searches as well and have identified and disposed of 14 plots containing about 1,000 cannabis plants. At a place called the village of Palai, at the municipality of Shlak, they found and destroyed 6 small plots with 380 cannabis roots. In Vua Ideas, they found and destroyed 6 small plots containing 499 cannabis roots. In Shkrel, they found and destroyed 2 plots with 120 cannabis roots. In all of the cases, the narcotics were planted in plots without owners. Even in Vlora, police destroyed about 702 cannabis plants during an operation in the village of Vlahia. It is worth noting that even in this area, the cannabis was cultivated in public land, leaving the police no opportunity to arrest those responsible. The court-appointed criminal lawyers have expressed the desire to become part of the judicial reform. At a time when deep reforms are expected in the judicial system, the criminal lawyers of Albania requested not to be excluded from this process and to assist in the new draft laws that the Ministry of Justice will work on. The criminal lawyer, Sajmir Vishaj, said that the opinion of the lawyers, while drafting the new draft laws, is important for providing durable and effective reforms. Vishaj made this statement at the Second National Conference of the Criminal Lawyers, which coincided with the 5th anniversary of the association. A problem that was highlighted by the lawyer Vishaj was the payment of the lawyers, who have not been paid for years. Vishaj said that there are payment problems for the lawyers appointed by the court. Lawyers from Kosovo, Macedonia, Serbia, and Montenegro were part of this conference. An 89-year-old woman has unfortunately died in a car crash on the way to the hospital in Saranda. An old woman who was on the way to the hospital for treatment of heart pain unfortunately never reached her destination. She died in a tragic car accident on the way. The serious event took place after midnight in Saranda. The victim is Alexo Koka, 89 years old. The elderly woman was traveling in a Toyota vehicle with Greek plates, which is being driven by her son, Stefan Koka. The vehicle crashed into a column on the road number 5 to Saranda. The crash was fatal for the elderly woman. Police have launched an investigation to uncover the full circumstances of the accident. The graduates of the city of Vlora had the opportunity to celebrate their graduation, unlike any year before. With the characteristic outfits of graduation day, all graduates of the city schools paraded on the Vlora Skela Boulevard, accompanied by the Minister of Education, Lindita Nicola, and the Director of the Education Department, Albana Hodaj. Nicola made this statement: "Today I walked along with the graduates of Vlora. It was a great feeling that this city offers, this town of 100 years of history in our state, of knowledge and of culture. I bow with respect to those teachers who have worked hard with passion of the mind and heart to cultivate true quality in the city of Vlora," said Nicola. Certificates of achievement were awarded to the top 34 graduates of Vlora. The graduation party in the city of Vlora ended with the old tradition of throwing the hats in the air. The construction work has been extended for one of the main roads in the city of Elbasan. Since the 25th of June, the Elbasan-Tirana axis has been closed due to the construction that is being done by a subcontractor company. Off the camera, The workers say that the road cannot be completed within the time specified, before the 15th of July. The subcontractor company occasionally extends the deadline for the completion of jobs. Earlier, the company said that the work will end today, but they are not yet completed. When the completion of the work was postponed until the 15th of July, the citizens of Elbasan were not satisfied with another date. The citizens have now returned to a forgotten road, that of Chafe-Kraba. Another problem with the closing of this axis is the isolation of several villages along the road of Elbasan-Tirana, and in case of an emergency, an ambulance will not be able to get through. The opposition parties in Kosovo have spoken out against the PDK, saying that it is using blackmail to secure votes. The opposition coalition, consisting of LDK, AAK, and Incentive for Kosovo, has declared that the rhetoric used in the past few days by the PDK is against the principles of democracy and the free vote. This coalition has reminded the Democratic Party of Kosovo that the new institutions cannot be formed through clandestine methods, blackmail, and pressure on the representatives of the people. No political party is obliged to enter a partnership with the PDK against its will, to secure a parliamentary majority for them. The perseverance of senior officials of the PDK to secure another mandate is not only dishonest, but also constitutes pressure of the president and a stance against the ruling of the Constitutional Court, declared the opposition in a press statement. In this context, the opposition coalition has invited the PDK to respect the state consolidation process of Kosovo and recognize the political reality in the country. The new government that will be formed is in the majority. This cannot be stopped by pressure and blackmail by the PDK officials, declared the three political parties in their press statement. The Prime Minister of Serbia has said that his country will not hide their intentions about the EU or about Russia. Serbia is on the path to Europe, and it doesn't hide this from anyone, including Russia. Serbia wants good relations with the Russian Federation, and I did not hide this in Paris. I think this is the fairest approach, Prime Minister Alexander Vučić said. On Thursday, Vučić visited France, where he met Prime Minister Manuel Valls. On Monday, he is scheduled to talk with the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, in Moscow. Vučić said that he expects good and open talks in Moscow. The Russians will propose some ideas on cooperation, but will also deliver some remarks, Vučić said, specifying that the remarks may include Serbia's debt to the Russian gas industry, which is slightly less than 300 million euros. We will focus on this issue with them. We will express our intentions for good cooperation and probably some objections that we have, Vučić added. When asked about the possibility of Serbia using an 800 million euro Russian loan designed for the reconstruction of the Serbian railways, the Prime Minister said that part of the funding has already been collected. We still don't know how to spend a portion of it, and this is our well-known blemish. We will discuss it, Vučić said. Regarding the Ukraine crisis, the Prime Minister reiterated that Serbia respects the territorial integrity of Ukraine, but will not impose sanctions on Russia. In regard to his visit to France, Vučić said that Paris supported the Serbian reform efforts. A number of French companies are very eager to start a business in Serbia. I expect that the company Hutchinson, which produces auto tires, will come to Serbia. They are interested in employing between 300 and 500 people. Other important companies are Vichy and Alstom, the strongest French companies to come to Serbia. We are close to holding discussions on calling the actions, the Prime Minister explained. This has been the Ora News English edition. Thank you for watching. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and please join us again on Monday at 6 p.m. Thank you, and good night.